Yeah. Are you pushing down or up?
Down.
Yeah. Down.
Okay. First, can we tilt the screen?
Yeah, sure.
I just can't see. All right, there's a few announcements. Register for Fall PTF. That's coming up. It's going to be huge. There's a link up there. Register 23. Yeah, we're also going to have our first CTF of the year, Patriot CTF, next Tuesday, I believe. Yeah.
Tuesday? No. No.
Can you turn this on? I can't like see anything.
It's a Friday. No, it's not. No, I think he's talking about the screen. We've never put anything on the screen. We have. Oh, we have.
Like, how else do you read the slides?
Fair, yeah. I mean, there's no other way to turn it. Like, I'm pretty sure it just goes straight to that.
Okay. And then obviously ACM open house on Tuesday. Yeah. So right now, create an account on FA2023 CTF. We're gonna do all our meeting stuff up here. Yeah, so go on, I'll give you guys a second to go to that link and sign up for an account. Yes, question up there?
What's the timeline for the Patriot CTF? Like, how long do you expect that?
Yeah, that's 48 hours long. It's going to start at 4 p.m. We're going to go pretty hard that evening, and then sort of we'll carry it on into Saturday a little bit as well.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, there'll be free pizza at the event. Thank you, Tyler. So show up, get some free pizza. It'll be a great time. Yeah, before we go any further, I had to don't get arrested slide. It's not permission to do. Yeah. So if you go to the website, there should be a box for meeting flag, and you can put that in. The XKCD is, you know, the classic tar command. You can't remember the flags to get it to decrypt your stuff. Yeah. Yes. So firstly, we're going to cover what is a shell. Yeah.
Leave it up and let people like sign up and stuff. Like,
yeah.
The flags.
We seem to have a question.
Yeah. Question.
So try making accounts as forbidden if you don't have shit to access the request source.
The request of.
How do you register?
Do you, is that with your Illinois email?
Yeah.
Has anyone been able to successfully sign up?
No. There we go. So you have
Wait, raise your hand if you also cannot sign up.
Sign up for CTF?
For the internal CTF, the CTF SIGPwny.
It just went away.
Okay, all right, great.
Cool. Major win. Oh, what's up?
It's active flag.
Yeah.
Yes, this is our meeting flag right there. SIGPwny starting off strong.
The slides are also on the website if you want to go back and check, find a meeting flag.
Does anyone else need more time to put it into the website? Just raise your hand. Okay, moving on. So yeah, we'll cover what is a shell. Then we'll get into how you set up on your machine, because people have Macs, people have Linux, people have Windows. And then we'll show a couple starter commands and tools to install. So the terminal, as one of our alums, Robbie says, is where stuff happens. So terminals look like this. Pretty simple. It's going to be a terminal where you can type in commands. This is an alternative to like a graphical user interface that you would typically use, right? So anything that you could do by clicking on something, you could do an equivalent command in the command line interface. So if you're on Linux, I hope you're proficient enough in the command line to know you're good to go. For Windows, you have two options. We're going to be covering WSL, but you could also use a virtual machine if that's more your style. For macOS, you can also use the built-in terminal, as it is a Unix-based distribution, or you could use a virtual machine. Yeah, people also wonder PowerShell command prompt. Yes, those are shells, but those are not Unix-based shells. So the commands you would run in PowerShell or command prompt would be different. So we're going to be showing you Unix commands, so you need to be using a Unix-based shell. So WSL. It's pretty simple nowadays. They've streamlined the process. All you need to go do is first just search for the Microsoft Store in your action bar or whatever it's called. Search Ubuntu and hit install. Can I get a number of hands of how many people have Windows right now? So I know. Oh wow. Okay. So that's just gonna take you guys a couple minutes. Do you want me to just keep going or give people a couple minutes?
Well, let's give them a couple minutes, walk around. Anyone that's helping.
Yeah, and then we also have a bunch of helpers, so raise your hand and then a helper is gonna be over to help you out if you need anything. Helpers, I see you guys all sitting there, not doing nothing, so, you know, let's help people.
Oh my God. He said you better work it.
A whole slide for Windows.
Yeah, there's
Pretty much.
yeah, there's ways.
There's
to do
like
it.
one or two more, but
Yeah, there's ways to do it if you don't. But this is like the main. You should have colors there if there wasn't like in a couple.
yeah, okay.
We move on to the next slide.
Oh, so you're already gone.
Yeah, so once you're in, it's gonna ask you to set a root user. So I'd recommend just a simple like username, maybe something you use for your Windows computer as well, and then set a password you'll remember.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyone can't install it from Microsoft Store.
Is anyone having troubles installing from the Microsoft Store? Yes, I see someone up there. We'll get to you in a second. This is how I remember every setup meeting. It's like you do one slide and it's like 10,000 questions setup.
Less dramatic. So it's what can you install on Windows, gotta say.
Yeah.
Because before it was like restart your computer twice. And that was painful.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, you're using this version of Windows. Now you have to do 20 extra steps.
Yeah.
Can I get a count of people that have not been able to start installing? So are still having trouble kind of downloading and getting stuff set up?
I don't know.
Looks like everyone.
WSL needs to be enabled, but we don't have a slide, do we? For enabling WSL?
Oh, before you do this stuff?
Before, yeah.
You
Because
don't
this
need
is,
to enable WSL on Windows 11 on. It's there automatically.
oh, but for like below
Windows
Windows 11.
10, I think.
Yeah. Do we have any folks with Windows 10?
There's
There's a slide in there.
Yeah.
Can you
Well,
unhide
you
it?
could also.
It says like WSL dash dash
It should
install,
be on the slide deck.
to be on the slide.
Yeah.
but it's currently hidden.
Yeah.
Maybe
WSL dash dash install. Because
it's just hidden.
on Windows 11.
Okay, all right.
So you have
Maybe I'll mention it briefly. Do you want to unhide it and I'll put it up?
Yeah. I'll do it now.
So there's an additional step you need to do if you're on Windows 10. We have a slide for that. We'll put that up in just a second.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if the Microsoft Store version does not work for you, there is this older method, which you'll probably have to do before you install the Microsoft Store. So if you got a message saying the Windows subsystem for Linux is not installed on your command line, then what you can do is open your search bar, type in the command prompt, so for CMD, and then you're going to open it and then type WSL space and that's 2 dashes install. And so it will install the backend system for WSL to work. And then you should be able to install it on you should be able to install from the Microsoft Store afterwards. If you are on an even older version of Windows 10, you're going to need to go into Windows features. And then you're going to find these 2 items. So you're going to search turn Windows features on and off. You're going to open this like checklist box. You're going to want to turn on virtual machine platform and Windows subsystem for Linux, and then you'll be able to restart. And once you do these 2 slides, after then you'll be able to go to the Microsoft Store and download Ubuntu from there. So. So someone asked in Zoom chat, what is the difference between a VM and WSL on Windows? So a VM is a virtual machine, that's just a shorthand. And this is essentially emulating the entire Linux operating system on top of your Windows system. WSL works a little bit differently in that it also has some integrations with Windows. So it's easier to use, it doesn't take as many resources, and you can access the file system from your Windows drive or your WSL drive. But if you were to go with the virtual machine, you would install VMware or VirtualBox, and then you would download an Ubuntu disk image, and then set it up as if you were setting up a new computer on Linux.
Does anyone need me to go back to the previous slides? Just raise your hand. Oh, sorry.
Can anyone raise your hands? How many of you are in CS128? Okay. There's some notes. If you're probably were expected to install Docker as part of your setup. So Docker also uses WSL as the backend. So if you type WSL and you don't get the prompts to set up a root user, what you're essentially in is this kind of like backend just that works for Docker only. So you want to make sure that you go to a Microsoft Store and launch specifically Ubuntu, because that will contain the actual command line that you're going to want to use, because the Docker WSL configuration is pretty minimal and it doesn't have the tools that you'll want.
Keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then if you're already done with all that, you might want to also install the Windows terminal. So it's a little bit the naming is a little bit strange, but I'll kind of explain it. So a terminal is not the actual shell. A terminal is what kind of interfaces with the shell. So we are installing the Ubuntu shell on your computer. And Windows Terminal is what connects to that shell and allows you to type commands. So the Windows Terminal is another application which is better than like the default command line interface that Windows comes with. So you can have like multiple terminals open and also run PowerShell, command prompt, Ubuntu at the same time. So Windows 11 should already have the terminal installed by default, but if you are on Windows 10 or just don't have it, you can also install it from the Microsoft Store. Does anyone need help that hasn't been addressed? Okay, I think helpers can take care of the rest now, so we'll move on.
Okay, great that helpers are helping with all the Windows people. macOS, you should be set. If you hit Command Space, open Spotlight and search terminal, you should be able to just jump right into your macOS terminal. And like Min said, a terminal is just a way for interfacing with the shell. There's a terminal I recommend people use. It's called iTerm. So if you're on macOS and you have not installed iTerm, I would highly recommend this one. It's sort of a modern replacement. It adds better color support, a lot of additional features. It's quite nice.
Go back to the home.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, and then you should also install Brew. So for installing software through the command line interface, you need a package manager. So on Linux, there's a package manager called apt. The equivalent of this on Mac is called Brew. So you can go to that link, brew.sh, and install Brew from there. It's quite simple. Once it's installed, you just do brew install the name of your package. So just to recap, install iTerm on Mac, install brew on Mac. And these slides are also available on our website, SIGPwny.com, if you need to refer back to this as we keep moving through the slides. Raise your hand if you have any questions with those steps. Otherwise, I'm going to pass it over to Emma to start talking about file systems.
All right, can everyone hear me? Can everyone see me? Cool, cool, cool. Oh, did you talk about iTerm? Okay. All right, so next we're going to talk about navigating the file system through the command line you have. So it's going to help most to think about this kind of like a tree where you've got this root directory and you've got all these branching directories. Okay, so we're in just the root directory, which is also represented by /. To get there, you can just do cd / and it'll always take you to the root. Now, let's say we want to get to directory A. Well, we're starting at the root because we're at the root right now. So cd is the command for changing directories. So you'll go cd dir A to get to that directory A. And now, when you use the cd command to change directories, it's going to start from the perspective of directory A instead of starting from the perspective of root. So let's say you want to get to directory C. You're going to do cd directory C instead of doing like CD directory A and then directory C, because you're starting just straight from directory A. And then your CD starts here. So let's say you want to get to directory B. What's going to happen if you say CD directory B? It doesn't see directory B because it's starting from the perspective of directory C. So how are we going to get to directory B? Hi, Kylie. What's up? Yeah, you can go back by doing the CD dot dot. ls is a way to see what directories and files are in the directory, yes. So one way you could do this is you could go back to root by doing CD/ to get to the root, and then dir b. Another way you could do it, kind of like what Kyler was saying, was you can do CD dot dot / dot dot / dir b. And each dot dot is going to take you back a directory. So it'll take you back one directory to directory A, then it'll take you back to the root, and then you can go to directory B. And then CD is going to start from directory B because you're now in directory B. So let's say we now want to go from directory B to directory A. Does anyone have any idea of how we might do this? There's a couple of ways. Yeah, you could do that. What were you going to say? Okay. Yeah, that's a great way to do that.
Does anyone know the alternative way without just / directory A? Raise your hand with the dot dot. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, both of those are great ways to do that. So first I'll walk you through just / directory A. You start at the root and then you go to directory A. Great job. And then also you could go back to the root and then go to directory A. So this is basically the difference between a relative path and an absolute path. A path is all the stuff we were talking about from going from one directory to the other.
The names are flipped.
The names are flipped. An absolute path is the full path that always starts at root. We'll correct these slides, apologies. An absolute path is the full path that always starts at root. And so that's just like the complete full path. And then a relative path is the path from where you're, that's like from the directory you're starting at, basically. So let's say we're going from directory A to directory C. What's some ways we could do that? Yeah, you could do that. Or you could do CD dot directory C, or you could do CD directory C with a /. It's all kind of just conventions. They're all the same thing. And it helps a lot to just think of it as a bunch of different conventions for getting to the same place. It's all just navigational tools. You could also use dot dot.
And you should claim dot as the current directory.
Because dot is the current directory you're in. And the difference between that and dot dot is just dot dot's the previous directory. Yeah, all just conventions. Yeah. So now I'm going to go over some useful commands. I know this is kind of an info dump, and all this is going to be on the slides that are sent out. But I'll just quickly walk you through them. ls, I know someone in the audience mentioned ls. That just lets you know the current directory, the current files in the directory you're in. So that could be different folders or directories that are in the directory. That could also just be files in the directory. CD, like we were talking about, changes your directory to a different specified directory. MV, from a source to a destination, is going to move a file from the source directory you specify to a destination directory you specify. Remove, be careful with this one because it's not reversible. It's not like throwing something in the trash bin on like Windows or Mac. RM like completely removes a file. And then cat, a file, is gonna print the contents of the file. And depending on the type of the file, that might be gibberish, that could be in plain text. It just depends on how that file works. // a file is going to execute what's in that file. So that's kind of like starting a program. And then man, which stands for manual, and then the command is going to let you see all the information about a command and its parameters. Next, I'll go a little bit over some networking commands. Again, this is all on the slides that we're going to send out. So no biggie if this is like a lot. But we got NC, which goes from an IP to a port, or it specifies an IP and a port, and that's netcat, which is used to connect to an IP on the port specified. SSH is going to give you a secure remote shell, and it's going to run an instance of that shell as the user at that IP address that's specified in the command. Ping is just used to see if an IP is up using ICMP. That's often blocked by firewalls, but it can be useful. And then curl or CRL is a network access tool that's used to access websites from the terminal. And that might be useful, like if you're trying to get like text from something or download a file. Another way you could download a file from the terminal from the internet is you could use wget. And then quickly some more about NC. NC-L, and then a port will open a network socket to listen on a specified port. And then if you don't include the -shell, you can specify an IP and open a connection to that IP and port. And ports are just communication endpoints on your computer, and they all go from 1 to 65,535. You've got a lot of ports. Next, we're going to start talking about stuff you can do, which is really exciting. The next step is we want to get you all started on Bandit to learn more about the shell. So if you can, run the command ssh bandit0 at bandit.labs.overthewire.org at port 2220.
The next slide shows.
And SSH is a command. Bandit0 is the user of that command. The IP is the over the wire lab, and then at port 2220. We also got some challenges you can do based on yeah, okay. Cool. I'm going to pass it off to Pete to talk a little bit about the CTFD challenges we have related to this as well.
Yes, thank you, Emma. Question? The password is bandit0. There should be a challenge on the CTFD that shows the password is bandit0, but yeah, it's bandit0. So other than Bandit, we have a couple of challenges up. First one is just called netcat. I wonder if you guys can maybe think which one of these commands is called netcat. So you're gonna want to do that one. Definitely beginner challenge. That's the first one I would recommend trying out. If you get stuck, refer back to the slides or raise your hand. Then we have the Shell Basics series. So we have a lot of commands very quickly in this slideshow. So the Shell Basics will kind of help you practice those commands. And then we also have a very special character. So this builds upon the netcat challenge. So you learn about connecting to stuff, sending or piping input output to other programs. So that's fun to work on. Yes, and that's it. We also have some more advanced challenges up, that require sort of, if you want to dive deeper into the content, I think there's a called the library series up, and a couple home tools related challenges. We'll get into that in future meetings, but if you want to get your skills up and start practicing now. So now I'll talk a little bit about the meetings coming up. So this Thursday, Pomona is going to be running Web Hacking 1. Pomona's right there. Say hi, Pomona. Yes, we'll cover the basics of web hacking. So definitely show up to that. It's going to be our first sort of content meeting that's not setup related. That's going to be super fun. Next Sunday, we're going to be running the same exact session. So if you're here, do not come next Sunday. You're not going to learn anything new.
Unless you want to help people, that could be cool.
Unless you want to be cool and help people out and meet some cool people, that's good. But yeah,
Invite your friends to the next one.
so true. Yes, next Friday at 4 p.m. we'll start playing Patriot CTF. So this is sort of a more beginner level CTF. So we're hoping that we can get a lot of people that are new to the club interested in cybersecurity and start playing some CTF with us. There'll also be free pizza, location to be determined, so it's going to be in Siebel. Yes, question up there. Yeah, it's going to be 48 hours long. We'll start playing Friday afternoon. We usually go pretty hard right when it starts, and then people that stick around, stick around. Question, Anakin?
I'll just clarify, it's 48 hours long. You take breaks, you know, like go to bed, like.
Go to bed, please.
Yeah. Come in when you can.
Yes, question.
We have to sign up for Patriot CTF.
No. There should be information in the Discord. If you haven't already, you can run the /CTF opt-in command in our Discord in the bot commands channel. That will give you access to view the CTF once we start playing. If not, just show up at the time and we'll explain how to do all that stuff.
Sorry, what's the command?
/CTF opt-in /CTF space opt-in. Opt-in is all one word. And that should be in bot commands. I think it's like the only command people are running in that channel. So any more questions? Yeah, there's a meeting flag again. If you didn't catch it the first time around, SIGPwny starting off strong. Thank you to all our helpers, Emma and Min, for presenting. And yeah, let's get working on these challenges. So the rest of the time, the rest of the hour is for you guys to work on challenges. If you get stuck, just raise your hand. We'll be around to help you guys out. Thank you.